So you struggle with perfectionism in the writing process. It is the biggest hindrance to your creativity. If you're constantly having like creative blocks, or you criticize yourself, or you are procrastinating because you need conditions and things to be just right before you take that next step, you, my friend, are struggling from the ailment of perfectionism. Now, we can move it over somewhere in the middle of the scale, right? Where there's harmony. But it takes a little bit of breaking out of old habits in order to do that. So, with perfectionism, what that is in the writing process, it's constantly obsessing over the words that you're going to put on the paper, how you're going to lay it out. You're thinking about all this other stuff before you get your first paragraph on the page. All you got to do is write a paragraph, but you're thinking about the beginning, middle, end. I know it's hard to not think about that sometimes, but it takes practice. That's why it helps to develop a consistent writing process, like maybe a journaling activity, or maybe you write, you free write, and you like maybe write some stories, or you just write about, you pick a topic, you write about a time in your life, or anything, like, just challenge yourself to get a consistent writing practice, whether it's a few days a week or every day. I write pretty much every day. Pretty much. I mean, there are days where I may not write. I'm just resting all day. I don't want to do nothing. And that's okay. So as long as you have that in balance, then things can move. But what you want to remember is, it's not about having flawless work. It's more so about allowing your authentic self to spill out on the page. Whatever that looks like, there is an audience for everybody. And I mean everybody. I'm telling you, like, on the internet, the vast amount of topics, like, and just think about the topics I'm not even aware of, because it's not even in my cipher. There could be, man, there's so many, like, people have niches, or somebody's life can be touched by your story because they relate to your story. I may not relate to your story, but they might. And so you don't have to worry about flawless. The editors can take care of that. Or when you edit, you can take care of it. When you edit. And that this is the future over here. This is the past. So whenever I go over here, we're talking about the past. Go over here, I'm talking about the future. So editing over here. This is right now. We are in the here and the now. And so I want you to think about the ways that you hinder yourself in the process, right? And you think about how much you criticize yourself. Start catching yourself. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Have a new thought. Change your thought. Because the thoughts are going to be here, and we could get to the beliefs. You could go ahead and say, you could even take a moment and be like, you know what, I let go of that limiting belief, that whatever you're criticizing yourself about. Or maybe it's true. And so maybe you say something like, well, now is not the time for that. I'm expressing myself. You keep moving. You don't even have to say out, like, really, you just change your thought, like, get back to what, eventually you'll get there. It just takes practice. I am indeed a perpetrator of this ailment, okay? So trust me, I know. the thing is, you when you're writing, it's important to take risks. If you allow yourself to take risks, that means being vulnerable in some form or fashion. If you're not ready to be vulnerable, then you just keep journaling, keep journaling and just act like nobody would ever read your stuff. They got stuff online where you can have an online journal and put your password. Nobody can access it, not even yourself if you forget the password. I got something like that, you know what I mean? Just and there's been times I forgot the password absolutely. And I can't get back in. And I don't know if I will ever remember, but it doesn't matter. To me, it was just me journaling. I was just getting it out. It's my life. I'm sure I will remember it. I'm sure it'll come back up. It's okay. I would have liked to have captured my authentic feelings in that time, but I do have enough information because I journal so much that I could refer to. So whenever I want to write my memoir, I could go back. I could look at my old journals. But the thing about it all is that when you create a consistent journaling practice, it just kind of gives you a glimpse of how you write when you're not worried about who's looking. That's really the point. When you're not worried about who's looking, my friend, it's a freedom that, as a living in a constant state of needing everything to be right before you take that next step, it's like, what is right? How do you know that what you're even trying to do is right? Because, and I'm not telling you to question yourself, because trust me, that's one thing I want you to do. I want you, above all else, to trust your gut. Trust yourself, but make sure that it is your gut and not your fear, not your insecurities. Make sure that you know what it is. If you're delaying because you need things to be a right way, there will never be a right time. There will never be a right time for things to be right, because in your mind, you really want it to be perfection. So you're creating obstacles for yourself. You're attracting that, the law of attraction. You're attracting the obstacles. You don't have to. So just remember to take a moment. Breathe. Breathe a few times. In through your nostrils, out through your mouth. Just allow yourself to relax in front of your laptop or your computer or your notepad or your tablet. Allow yourself to be in that moment. Be right here. Don't be over here and don't be back there. You stay right here and you focus on what it is that you are doing in this moment. There is something, it's a myth that we multitask. We are only really focusing on that one thing. Everything else is like blurry. It's peripheral. You don't get all the information. I mean, there are ways that you can see all of it, but you have to tune into it. You can only tune into one reality at a time. You into multiple realities, your brain splits. It's just, ooh, what's going on? Like, ooh. Maybe you build up the power to be able to do that. But if you're struggling with perfectionism, I'm pretty sure that you don't have it down pat. Multitasking, that is. So we're going to assume that you can't multitask. So focus on what you are doing right now and let that intense energy permeate your project, okay? Because what you are doing, whatever you're choosing to do in that moment, is moving you forward. You may not be able to see the whole staircase, but every step you're taking is moving you towards the top of that staircase. So if you're feeling like you don't know, or you're not having the confidence in what you're doing, maybe you are concerned that no one will read your writing. Maybe you're concerned that you don't know how to write. Well, I mean, there are ghostwriters. If you just decide that, you know what, this isn't, I'm not a writer. You know, all that grammar, all that stuff, all that putting it in order and organizing, I can talk, but I'm not a writer. If you're not a writer, then by God, golly, you go and move on. This is for aspiring authors who are writers. Natural. It's in their heart. Everyone has a story. If you don't know if you're a writer yet, then you just keep watching and you can see if you like it. Get some writer's prompts. But if you just absolutely know, hey, I am not a writer, then yes, please. Don't even worry about struggling with the perfectionism of the writing process. You go get you somebody who knows, who enjoys the writing, who writes, who wants to use writing to get a message out or to express themselves, or they are a voice for others. There is a place for everyone on this spectrum, and there is no judgment. And that is what a lot of times people as perfectionists are. They are self-critical, therefore they're critical of others. And they need everyone else to be just as perfect. And it becomes a defining factor in the lives of yourself and those around you. It's like everyone needs to be up to these standards. And even if you don't enforce it out loud, in your heart and in your mind, it is there. So you attract people who cause you to need to enforce these beliefs, right? Whether it's manipulating or procrastinating or not moving, or, you know, and I'm talking about in general. This is perfectionism. Self-judgment, I mean, not perfect, self-judgment, self-critical, you know, these things, they are not just they are your current issues that are leaking onto the page. You know, you bring yourself to the page, and it's okay. You be yourself, because there's a way that your weaknesses can be strengths. They'll always be unless you master them. But what comes natural to you will always have the capability of outshining on your weaknesses. So focus on your strengths, but know your weaknesses so that you can also make those your strengths. So this is just a part of, this is not, this is what it is a part of, this is what it is, this is what we're doing. We're just coming into awareness of ourselves, what holds us up. And yours may not be extreme perfectionism. It might be just a little bit. It causes you to procrastinate just a little bit. But sometimes you get out there. Sometimes you get on the page. Sometimes you're there. But then sometimes you move away. And then when you move away, it's like, oh, okay. You start to see things a little differently. So let yourself feel. Let yourself feel in the writing process. Nobody has to see that. It doesn't ever have to be seen. You can be yourself on the page. You could be yourself. The thing is that when you see yourself, you might just start to like yourself. And when you start to like yourself, you don't need the validation of me, anyone around you, your audience, or anything. What you write comes from you. It's your authentic self. And remember, there is an audience for everyone. It really is. The weirdest stuff out here, y'all. No judgment. It's just, it's weird. It's different to it's weird to my perception. Even though I've seen it, I've seen a lot. Seen a lot. But there are just some, people have pinky toe fetishes. I hope. I'm just saying, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's like. Like, what makes a person obsessed with the pinky toe? That has nothing to do with this video. Oh my God. But in your writing process, it's a healing process. It gives you something to be confident about. When you finish writing that day, you have completed something. You say, I'm going to get up every day and write 3 pages. Right? You say, I'm going to write 3 pages, and in these 3 pages, I am going to the world is going to be at my foot right here. I got distracted. Somebody's calling me. But I forgot what I was saying. I start dreaming. That's what I do. Like if I get on auto, I start painting pictures. Oh my gosh, I'm silly. But you start to see yourself on the paper, and you start to like yourself. And I just feel like I might have just rewinded it too far. And I think that just the point of everything I'm saying is that let go of procrastination by getting to the root of it. When you get to the root of it, you might see that what lies in your procrastination is actually perfectionism. And then when you look at what perfectionism is, you're like, well, why do I feel the need to be perfect? And you might see, well, maybe I have a lack of confidence here. And I know that with somebody can say something that can knock me off my kilter. I know myself. I know my habits or my responses in the past, and I just can't help it right now. There are healing things I need to let go of. Very well. But you may find that perfectionism in the writing process comes from somebody being very critical of you growing up. And so therefore you're critical on yourself, and you have to let go and forgive and forgive and forgive. The human self has to forgive. Your higher self needs no forgiveness. Your higher self doesn't need to experience that, because it already knows that we are creating our realities, and that the experience that you're having was created either consciously or unconsciously by you. Really, everything's being created from the unconscious. For real. I mean, we could create in consciousness, but that creation is coming from the unconscious. And so you have to know that there might be unconscious reasons that are causing you to experience this reality the way that it is. And that's what's manifesting. So that's why getting to the root of things is great. Now, I offer help with this, but listen, this ain't this ain't about that. This is about just allowing yourself to look at those things while also starting the process, creating a consistent process. All right. Yes, this is complete. I need to go, y'all.